There's been some new news on another celebrity boxing fight that's coming around.
Like peanut butter with Nutella sandwich. They go together like that.
Does that go together?
If you've never had that, you should try it.
But you will get to a position where you'll be strong in that area. Yeah. You will have an authority figure. You will learn from him.
And you see this guy and you're like, damn, I want to look like that. Right, how can I get there the quickest way possible? It won't be quick. It'll take you time. But it doesn't mean in 6 months that you won't radically look good.
Well, I still look like a potato in the pool at the minute. I got outswam by a 60-year-old the other day.
Welcome to You Know What, the podcast for you that dispels the myths and BS in the fitness industry whilst leveling up your A game in everyday life. We are your hosts,
you know what?
and Dan.
You know
Are
what,
you
baby?
ready for another podcast?
Hell yeah.
Are
Hell
you ready
yeah.
for another podcast?
Hell yeah. I'm doing it for you.
You better be ready.
Of course you're ready. You're always ready for a podcast with us. So, did you know human teeth are the only part of the body that don't regenerate themselves?
Yeah, I did know that.
Useless fact. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. I was joking.
Well, I was going to say, I was like, hold on.
It makes sense though, because you only have, well, you technically have 2 sets, but yeah.
Yeah, they're the only bit that don't re-heal themselves, which is why getting a dentist is very important. And I haven't been to the dentist in 6 years. So I can't get on any of them. I tried when I was at uni. But I tried to get one at uni, and the uni one just took so long to get on an NHS dentist. So you have to go privately. When you're at uni, nobody has the money to do a private dentist, let's be honest. And private dentists around here is
600 quid on a root canal.
What?
Yeah. Didn't even numb it properly. So I felt the drill go up into my face. And then I was like, and then he had to like redo it. It was horrible.
And he was like, hold on, forgot the numbing cream.
Well, no, he didn't forget the numbing cream, but a root canal, they have to go so deep that they have to get the numbing like injection fluid, whatever it is, like really high up to try and like numb the whole area, and didn't quite do it. 600 quid for pain.
Did it like numb your face then? Did it like numb this area of your face or no?
That's just my my stroke, mate.
That's
That's just. I know you've noticed. Shit, man.
Permanent remnants.
God, why do we do this? Sorry for those that are affected by strokes. It's not funny. It's not funny at all.
Oh, what a start to the
Think
podcast.
fast. Think fast.
What a start. Yeah, ignore whatever.
Do you remember that? Think fast.
What was think fast?
So the fast is an acronym for people that have stroke.
Face.
What does A mean? Arms? No. Something like that.
Face.
I can't remember any more than that, but
Just face. Just face.
that's how useful the acronym was.
Is it act fast? No, it's not. It's just act fast is the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. But interestingly, there's been some new news on another celebrity boxing fight that's coming around. Tommy Fury KSI.
Exactly. Obviously, Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, by the time this comes out,
Yeah.
it would have gone. Now, my prediction for that fight is I can 100% guarantee that Jake Paul wins.
Really?
Nate Diaz, 100%. It's boxing.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. It's different, isn't it? It's not MMA.
If you train for boxing for 4 years, does it, like, and you dedicate towards it, and you face someone that has dedicated their life to MMA, you will beat the MMA guy.
Is Nate Diaz quite good at grappling as well? So he...
You mean like maybe in the clinch and
Yeah.
boxing? I mean, but that doesn't really matter, to be fair. Like Nate Diaz is a very durable man, very high endurance. This is actually very relevant because the reason why I want to do an Ironman next year, the kind of pull was after the boxing fight, I was in the world of boxing, like all my YouTube's full of boxing stuff. Then obviously Nate Diaz thing came up, saw an interview. He does triathlons for fun to build his endurance and fitness for MMA, and that's why he's got one of the highest endurance like fitness levels out most MMA fighters. And so it just came to me as like, I've always wanted to do an Ironman.
So now's the time.
Yeah.
You've already built like that foundations of fitness from boxing though, haven't you?
Marines, SAS selection, boxing, calisthenics. Yeah, mate. I was like, for so long I was bodybuilding. This is very relevant, by the way, because we're going to talk about this today. But for so long, I was doing bodybuilding after like being super fit because I wanted to like get as big as possible, and I lost my fitness level doing the bodybuilding thing, and I always felt slightly off about my training. I was always like, what, something's missing, and it's because I've grown up with the endurance side of things and I love it. I just didn't like being skinny. So now the plan is to like, how can I preserve muscle mass like Nick Bear or Ross Edgley, both real hench,
Big
hybrid
guys.
athletes that can do crazy endurance activities like Ironmans, swim around the entire UK whilst looking like bodybuilders.
Yeah.
So that's where it's all sparked from. And like now we're going into the Ironman training whilst preserving muscle mass, ideally. And it's all because of Nate Diaz, man. It reminded me. I was like,
yeah, that switch. It's mad when you get these switches in it, and it's same in the business world, same in life. You have these moments. You're kind of like something happens, and you're like, oh my god, this has now impacted how I'm thinking about the situation.
Yeah.
And now you're suddenly going, oh, this sounds good. Well, I still look like a potato in the pool at the minute. I got outswam by a 60-year-old the other day.
That's gonna happen, man.
Yeah.
They swim for hours.
Yeah. Well, he was in there. I was in there for all of about 20 minutes because I'm not going to lie, my cardio is not up to scratch in a minute. I haven't done cardio for like over a year just because of injury and not needing to do it. I know 6 months. I did do some training before I injured myself again. But
yeah,
I tell you what, getting in the pool, when people say it helps your back, I stepped in the pool and I just felt like a new man.
Really?
Because it just, my spine didn't have weight on it. So like the bit that's irritated is just caused by gravity.
You're going to be doing
acting
aquafit with the 60-year-olds as well.
Yeah. With the little dumbbells. Hey, come on, ladies. Let's go together. When I go to Tunisia, I'm going to be jumping in that pool. Everyone's going to be like, this guy's really great.
So English Channel Swim, by the way, if I can remember correctly, it's between 11 and 17 hours or something like that because depending on the tides, then you can actually be dragged off course by like 5 miles.
You said it increases the distance, doesn't it? You end up swimming. So you have to actually prepare for that, don't you? You've got to like, I've looked into it. You have to prepare to do a 20-mile swim or something because it can get to that level. So you need to learn. Bearing in mind a triathlon is a 2.1 mile swim. 2.4 mile swim. That's close. Bearing in mind that's a triathlon, you probably look at a triathlon and go, fucking hell, that's a long way.
That's about an hour and a half to 2 hour swim if you're slow, to be fair.
I am rapid, mate.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I've got some speed. I just realised halfway through swimming, I'm not using my legs and just pulling with my upper body. And I used to do that when I did county, and I used to still win. So it kind of says something, doesn't it? That if I can do that, I just forget to kick. I just literally forget to kick.
It's because I have it's hard to like get a full kick without cramping up.
Yeah, and plus you don't want to kick. I learned about this. So positioning in swimming, you don't want to be on a slant because then you get too much drag because you create that surface of drag around you. Yeah. So you have to stay level and you have to stay at this point.
Yeah,
so I don't
want
to kick
because your arse is so big, man.
Yeah,
so
your it's like a buoyancy
drags you up towards the sky. So you're right.
It's got its perks. It's got its perks.
Well, I just sink.
I'll tell you what though, I sat in the sauna and there was one of the most David Lloyd conversations going on.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a guess what it was about?
No, go for it.
Property development.
Yeah.
I literally just go sit in the sauna. I was like, excuse me, two like older fellas just sitting there. One of them's like, yeah, I only work on small developments. I only like working in kind of my local area and just, building up housing there and working on properties that people want me to come into. The other guy was like, yeah, I like working on large developments. I like trying to get as many people in as possible, getting a big team behind me. Yeah. And I just sat there and I was like, I don't even own a house right now. This is not the conversation for me. Kind of just sat there in the sauna. I was like, I'm just going to stare at the clock.
Yeah,
I don't want to intrude on their conversation. If I make eye contact, they'll ask me what my property development's like, and I'm going to be like, nothing.
When I worked in David Lloyd, I used to go in the sauna all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't even meet housewives from there. Just be talking to housewives.
Oh, for a minute there, I was like, you can't have women and men in the same one, but I was genuinely just thinking about the changing rooms for no apparent reason. There's not like separate rooms. Yeah. No, it was just blokes. It was just blokes in there when I was there. I don't know. We'll find out in the next few weeks.
There's a big difference between... actually, no, don't worry. Anyway.
Good.
Iron Man.
Mind up.
Yeah.
Oh, there was something I saw the other day. It was a podcast, and to be honest, this does spark up the whole debate at the minute. That it was like something about men can't be. What was it? It was something about men can't be masculine nowadays, or something like that. And a man was genuinely sitting there, like opening his heart out, being like, you can be masculine, but sometimes it's frowned upon being too masculine, but then you don't want to be too emasculine because then you get referred to as, going down kind of like gay, camp, that kind of line. And then that strikes you because for some reason that insults us as a society. And, there's all those bits and pieces. The woman was like, no, everyone should be masculine and everyone should be broody. And I'm like, why does everyone have to be like this masculine nature all the time? Yeah. It's not true. I'm not the most masculine bloke. You just heard my voice there. It goes very high pitch when I talk. I'm not the most masculine, but I own my shit. And I own like who I am as a person. I
mean, there's assertiveness, which I think people misidentify as a masculine trait.
Yeah.
It's part of it in some way, but like, because women can be assertive as well, which is them owning their masculine trait in some way, and you've got feminine traits which are like slightly different. I'm going.
Then you just got traits.
Yeah.
I think all of this is under traits. I think the problem is people have labeled these traits as, like, for example, strength is identified as male. Like that is if you say strength, people go big burly man. Nobody thinks like big strong bodybuilding woman at the minute. But actually, in relation, strength is just strength. Yeah. It's just an open-ended term that means you're strong. That's it.
Yeah.
But then it's been interpreted into these two gender specifics. We were talking about something completely different.
We were talking about KSI versus Tommy Fury. We never finished that, unfortunately.
We have gone somewhere else today, ladies and gentlemen.
But KSI versus Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury will win because an amateur boxer.
Yeah.
That's done lots of amateur fights in the Fury name, regardless of whether you think he's a good professional boxer or not. He has trained for his whole life in boxing. He is part of a boxing family. He's part of a gypsy family, even more, which is even worse. Like, makes him even better at boxing. And I've seen him fight. He's not bad. No. He's got really long reach. He's a big guy. KSI is a loudmouth, social media sensation, obviously. But other than that, I obviously KSI has some good boxing ability compared to the people he's fought, which are all influences. Yeah. And arguably the pro boxer that was recently, the 40-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
But he's not.
Everyone's just boxing retired people. Like, that's like me going out on the street and be like, hey, do you want to run next to some 70-year-old bloke with a stroller?
Yeah. I mean, anyone could be a pro boxer just by getting the card, going into a pro boxing fight. You're now a pro boxer. That doesn't mean that you're going to, say, beat people that have been doing it since they're kids. Yeah. Like amateur fight. Like, he's done amateur fights. Amateur fights are probably the worst, hardest boxing fights you can do. Probably more so than pro. Because amateur fight, you find out who you're fighting when you're stepping into the ring. Mm. Pro boxing, you've got time to prepare. Mm. There's a difference between the two. Pro boxing is like, it's almost like more of an entertainment business than it is actually about fighting. Yeah. Whereas amateur fighting is, you don't get paid for it. You're in front of just 50 people. You're there against, you know what I mean? Like, amateur fighting has no excitement about it. This is why I didn't want to do amateur fighting. After the charity fight, I was like, amateur fighting does not excite me at all because it's brutal. Like, you step into the ring and you find out who you're fighting, the same weight as you. They could have had 10 fights before you. You could have had one compared to them, and it's like, bloody hell.
You've got to train for the worst, haven't you, in amateur boxing? You have to train for the worst case scenario, like someone the same weight as you, but a fucking unit.
Well, you're expected to lose in amateur fights quite a lot. Like, the whole point of amateurs is to prepare you, should you want to go to pro, so that you don't lose the pro fights. So you fight against a lot of different styles. Usyk fought 350 amateur fights, and I think he only lost 9. Usyk's the heavyweight.
Yeah, heavyweight Ukrainian champion at the minute.
Not champ.
Is he not champion at the minute?
No, actually, right. Yeah, he's got Joshua's belts. Yeah. So you can see, like, that's ridiculous, right? So that person, you compare it to like KSI, who's had 6 pro fights against influencers. Mm. I mean, he might be a pro boxer now. He might be all right for like an amateur level. But compare him against someone like that, he's dead.
Tommy's just enjoying these fights. I think he's getting massive payouts. I mean, he's just got engaged to Molly May. Shout out. Shout out. But like, they've just got engaged. So he's like looking for big payouts and fighting people like that. He's fine. Like Jake Paul, that was a massive payout for him.
He did really well.
He did do really well.
Not necessarily. Like, I mean, split decision win.
Yeah.
In theory, he should have won unanimously.
Yeah.
But he did really well while walking into the ring. You could tell he wanted to be there. Yeah. Like, that's what you want.
He was up for the fight, wasn't he? I think Jake Paul was up for the showmanship, if I'm brutally honest. At the time, I think he was there to like drive up, He's
had the documentary come out, Netflix.
Is he?
Yeah, Jake Paul.
You know what? I was watching a video the other day of Jake Paul, and it showed Jake Paul as he was doing a house tour with Daniel Mack. If you know who Daniel Mack is.
Daniel Mack, yeah.
Daniel Mack, the how much? What's your job? Oh, sorry. What do you do for a living? That guy.
Oh, yeah.
He was doing a house tour because he does house tours with like rich people. And he was doing a house tour of Jake Paul's mansion in Costa Rica, I think it was.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
I can't say these things.
Puerto Rico. That's all right, I'm here. Yeah. And he was doing a tour, and Jake Paul was just like this level-headed, normal human being strolling about. He wasn't like pouncing around. He wasn't even like really showing off what he had. He was just talking to people. So again, people are different on social media. He's obviously done everything as a marketing stunt to get people to drive. Because I've spoken about Jake Paul before. It's like, he's an arsehole, he's a knobhead. And actually, in reality, marketing. Like we were talking about James Smith on a previous pod. Marketing. Yeah. A lot of people don't like his style, but it draws people to watch him. It draws the people that don't like him to watch him.
This is the thing. Like if you're not like in the world of social media, you can look at James Smith and think he's an annoying he's an annoying as hell. But then the more you market on social media, the more you realize that actually that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And actually, it doesn't necessarily mean that's him.
No.
Behind the camera. Like, I like some of his stuff. I do obviously he's polarizing. That's why they called him the Gordon Ramsay of fitness, right?
Yeah.
At one point. There's a lot of people that I find annoying, but there's also I've seen the good side of him too. There was a moment where Lima, do you know Lima? There was a period of time where like he posted the creepiest videos over and over again, and I started thinking this is starting to get a bit
weird,
creepy, man.
Yeah, a little bit weird and edgy, isn't it?
Yeah,
but people still watched it.
But I mean, I generally think he's an awesome person.
He is. He's sound. Yeah, I've spoken to him before. He's really sound. Like he's a nice guy. He's as you'd expect of him. Really fun loving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Social media can pull you into ways you don't want to go.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
If you let it. Like,
social media is a distorted perspective of society. That's all it is. It's just distorted. One thing I did want to talk about, we were talking about obviously a little bit on the kind of aesthetic front there. Tommy Fury is a big guy, like strong fighting guy. But the big question, aesthetic versus athletic.
Well, I mean, you can have both, first of all. But you're talking about like traditional bodybuilder or physique athlete versus someone who's just functionally fit.
For example, like let's go swimmer's physique.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bodybuilder, swimmer's physique.
Well, here's the thing. This will bend your brain in a way that will make you go, what?
I'm ready.
The hell? So, bodybuilders, all they're doing is they're training a function enough times that body then changes to adapt to that function. So, bodybuilders are as athletic as any athlete because they're basically just doing a movement over and over again so that the body has stimulus to that movement. Yeah. So in theory, you can have aesthetics of a swimmer if you want it, or you can have aesthetics of a bodybuilder if you want it. Depends on what your aesthetic goal is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of putting it. I think at the end of the day, if you swimmer's physique, like the swimmer's physique fallacy has been titled a lot, where people look at a swimmer's body and think, bloody hell, I want to look like a swimmer because they've got broad shoulders, tight waist, big back, and it looks very aesthetic, tight little wide fronts. But I think a lot of the people in the aesthetic camp as well, it's just training your body in a certain way for a certain period of time. I'm not talking 2 to 3 months. I'm talking years of doing the same thing. You look at bodybuilders who have been bodybuilding for 10 years, you will get to the length of like Jay Cutler. Yeah. You'll get to the lengths of Chris Bumstead if you train at that craft. Same with businesses. If you work on your business, like we're only a year properly into our business now and we're doing pretty well. Like I'd say a year in, considering we've started kind of from our own knowledge and our own bases. But you will get to a position where you will be strong in that area. Yeah. You will have an authority figure. You will learn from your mistakes. I was thinking about this one thing as well, and it works in both contrasts of aesthetic and athletic. You have to learn from your failures to then promote success. So you, for example, if you're going from an aesthetic standpoint, you've got to try these different training splits that loads of influencers put out there to see what you like and don't like. And then from those, you basically create a nice culmination of these exercises that you like doing. Yeah. And by doing stuff you enjoy, you do it more. You don't need to be motivated because you know you're going to go in and enjoy it every single day.
And also
apologies for interrupting the podcast today. Thank you so much for tuning in to You Know What. We really appreciate you listening, subscribing, liking and reviewing everything that we're doing. It's so nice to see so many of you interacting with our podcast as it grows. If you didn't already know, me and Nick have one of the fastest growing online coaching platforms on the planet, and we'd love to get you involved. We're looking for ambitious people looking to grow their careers and grow their experience in health and fitness. Me and Nick have over 10 years of working experience in the fitness industry, and we'd love to help you achieve the results that you've always wanted. Make sure to contact either Coach Dan King or Get Fit by Nick, or even just check the link in our bio to the podcast now. We'd love to hear from you.
You got to think, if you look on social media and you're comparing to like say Jay Cutler, and you're a bodybuilder that wants to like get that size, let's say you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking, right, I need to look after my health more, and you see this guy and you're like, damn, I want to look like that. Right, how can I get there the quickest way possible? It won't be quick, it'll take you time, but it doesn't mean in 6 months that you won't radically look different and feel better. Yeah. I think most people think they have to, they see these phenomenal physiques, they want to be that as quick as possible. They don't realize that it's going to take years, but they can still look good within 6 months. So the first 6 months of any journey is like probably 60 to 80% of your growth. Like you get most of your growth through that first 6 month period, and then it takes years to fine tune. So I literally, when I bulked up for my bodybuilding show at one point, I got most of my results within 6 months, and I looked the best I could do. If I continued it, I would have slowly built a little bit extra. It would have taken years, but I wouldn't have gained like more than like 5-10 kilos extra. And I feel like people sometimes they underestimate how long it takes and overestimate how much they're not gonna look good, if that makes sense, within a short period of time.
I think there is such a fallacy around like doing athletic performance doesn't build a big physique, and that's the problem is the whole promotion around optimal training. If you're not doing single arm pull downs, if you're not doing tricep extensions in a certain way, no, your body doesn't know what it's doing at the end of the day. It just knows a muscle is moving around a joint at a certain range of motion. It doesn't know, I'm doing tricep. You could do thousands with milk bottles for all I care, and you'd still build like some kind of physique.
I think you've used that before, that analogy.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I don't know what.
Milk bottles.
Milk
bottles. Yeah.
Playing pool. It's like tossing a guy off behind you, isn't it? What was I going to say? That was it. So I've been really skinny, I've been super fit, and I've got also the opposite, been super heavy and super big. And I can tell you now that like training for both is difficult. However, that's only if you're going for the extremes in both. You can have great fitness and a great body if you focus on the jack of all trades like approach, like a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And the fitness aspect, the capillarization of your muscles is extremely beneficial to also grow muscle. So, you know, cardio and strength training, they both go together like, what's a great...
yin and yang.
Yeah, like peanut butter with Nutella sandwich. They go together like that.
Does that go together?
If you've never had that, you should try it. Get a sandwich, butter, you have to use the butter, you need butter. Peanut butter one side, Nutella the other side. In fact, I saw on TikTok this 9 combination sandwich where they put 9... what was it? Was it 9? Was it 4? I can't remember. They did 9 different spreads across the sandwich, and then they turned the other side the other way around. So you had like 18 flavor combinations. It's wild.
I feel like that would just be like
mad.
A legal dose of DMT, but through sauces. My brain would be so confused. It'd be like, why am I having ketchup with Nutella?
DMT, man. We got to do a psychedelics podcast. That would be great.
What, doing a DMT podcast?
Laura.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think she's DMT, but I know she's into the meditation and spiritual side of things.
I feel like DMT.
I know sometimes that when you push into that aura or area, you tend to you do open up.
You
to
try
kind of
things
like shrooms. I've done shrooms before.
I've never done them.
Phenomenal. Don't try them at home.
You said try them out. You said try them out somewhere like in the wilderness, didn't you?
Yeah, you got to be in the right place for them, but they are phenomenal, mate. But obviously, for you guys listening, you don't want to be doing it. So
no, drugs are bad.
Drugs are very bad. Don't do bags.
But actually,
drugs,
to be fair, if we're talking about any kind of drugs, hallucinogenics are probably not the worst. Like what are they psychedelics. Psychedelics are some of the actual a lot of people have spoken about on their own podcasts, and some people have done podcasts on psychedelics to kind of translate that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hit you with some questions.
Yep.
We've got quick fire round V2. So,
do it.
I'm going to start off with, what's more important, being book smart or having good social skills? You can only be one.
Good social skills.
Why?
I spent a long time reading books and found that they never really benefited my life because it didn't apply. Then I realized that everything you do in life involves people, and having social skills is the ultimate skill you can have to make sure you can apply everything in a way that actually is beneficial to your life.
I couldn't agree more. The point that I kind of had from that is social skills are so important. You can have all the social skills in the world and build one of the most successful businesses on the planet and not have much knowledge in it because you just employ people that listen to you. That's all you need. And having good social skills builds foundations for you to open up your knowledge. And again, that's an area I thrive in. I'm book smart, but at the end of the day, I know how to kind of talk to a human being, which is more important in my books.
Yeah.
Next one is, would you prefer to do solo traveling or group traveling? So like lads holidays, girls holidays, going to Marbs.
It's now group, but when I was younger, solo.
Why is that?
Because I got away from people to explore what I wanted to do in my life when I was younger. So I was always doing things on my own. But now I actually quite rate having shared experiences. I feel like I mean, I know entrepreneurs, they get isolated. They feel like, they start a business and suddenly they're all by themselves all the time. They'll probably relate to the fact that they feel lonely a lot. And I feel like, why not just do these experiences with other people? You can do it. Shared experiences.
See, I do group traveling. I like bouncing off other people. I've said this before. I'm a very much communal person. I like to work with other individuals and kind of understand how they're doing. Plus, it's a lot of fun. Like when you're with a group, I feel like energy, you can then spread your energy a little bit. You haven't got to be so confided in just what you're doing. You can let other people take heed for a bit. You can relax and, you can enjoy it. Now, developing your health and fitness is great. However, one thing you learn is you are never satisfied once you start. What is one way you kept training satisfaction at its maximum as much as possible? So what is one way you stayed satisfied with your own training?
I just have a deep passion for it. I like training itself isn't necessarily enjoyable, but there's something about like the frame of mind training puts you in that is enjoyable. So for me, it's the fact that I feel better doing something. And, I've always had the passion since I was 15 years old to do something with my body. And I feel like it's very hard to teach someone how to have that mentality, unless you're young and you've got a massive interest in something that requires a great body to actually help with it. But
I like that. I completely agree. I think you've got I think mixing up your training on a regular basis. I like to change mine up every 8 to 12 weeks. I think that's a good time. You get used to it after 8 to 12 weeks. Giving yourself a different stimulus. We've said about swimming. That's an area we're working in. Just looking at different outlets. You're going to feel nervous when you first start. You need to try things out. You need to give yourself the opportunity. If you don't give yourself the opportunity, you're just going to be running into a brick wall. And I can tell you, brick walls, not the most comfortable thing to run into. What are some effective ways to manage stress for better overall health?
What are some better ways? Manage stress. So managing stress, I would say the most important skill you can learn is the skill of meditation, mindfulness, because, identifying with your thoughts, learning to not identify with your thoughts is probably the most beneficial thing you can actually do to remove the stress from actually feeling it, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to feel what you're thinking, if that makes sense. Yeah. That was a long-winded way around it, but mindfulness, I feel like, is like your ultimate skill.
I'd go for some mental dissociation. I think you need to do some mental dissociation training where you're teaching yourself to live outside of your body in a way. That you're teaching yourself to almost, it sounds really cringy, but going into your spiritual self and kind of almost looking like a fly on the wall at what you're doing. And that's how you've got to look at your own life. And you can do it. It's quite an easy thing to do once you learn that kind of self-projection and learning to project your thoughts out there and being like, okay, this is fine. Nothing's going to hurt me. I'm going to be all good.
Interesting thing, that is basically meditation.
Yeah.
Like meditation, there's different meditations. There's focus meditation and there's like relaxation meditation. But like focus meditation is like where you actually dissociate from your thoughts. You allow the thoughts to go through, they come to your mind, and then it's like training your brain to be able to like let it stay there, but you're not thinking the thought, you're outside of the thought, seeing everything moving, doing its own thing.
I like to say it's like taking things out of your shopping basket.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it. The last question I have is, would you prefer to have peak mental fitness or peak physical fitness? You can only have one.
Would you rather be, basically you're asking me, would you rather be Stephen Hawking or would you rather be Muhammad Ali?
Yep. Sure. That's what I'm asking.
Muhammad Ali, man. I'll take I would hate to like have like great mental performance and not be able to move the body. So, but then I don't want to be a vegetable, but be able to move. So, it has to be the mental if you're going to clinch it.
Yeah,
it has to be the mental if you're. Yeah, because I don't know. It's the only thing I can think.
I think that for me it'd be mental. The mind is the most flexible muscle in the human. It's not muscle; it's fat. Yeah. But it's the most flexible part of your body in which of learning. And considering we only use a small percentage of it, I'd love to be able to have that full, overwhelming mental kind of. Yeah. Again, like Limitless, the movie. Limitless.
Like that, man. Like that. You got an eye in that one, wasn't
it? Yeah, I did.
Got to take that out.
I know. I need to.
Limitless.
Needs to be limitless. Limitless. Well, that's podcast numero dos for the day. Well, technically.
No,
actually, no, 14. It's not. No, 14, isn't it? I don't know.
14.
If I said dos. 14.
See, we don't even know. We've got no idea. We've got no structure.
What is that? Dieci quattro.
Is that Italian?
That's Spanish.
Right.
Spanish. I just can't do accents.
French is dos, trois, quatorze.
14, yeah, 14.
But we don't like the French, so it's fine. Ignore that. Je parle enough.
I like the French. Molly is part French.
Parlez-vous anglais?
we. Thank you ever so much for watching the podcast. As per usual, we do still have our Limitless offers running at the minute. Our one-to-one coaching package is taking on a profound amount of people so far, and also our group coaching has had a lot of interest. So for £49 a month, which is not much. For example, you add up all your subscriptions at home, it costs less than that. So that's how I want you to see it. It's currently got 30% off. Don't be silly, jump on board. It's probably one of the biggest accountability packages out there. We've done our research. If you find anything more, throw it our way. We'll make some adjustments. Anything you want to add to that?
No, that's it. Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
See you later.
Catch you later.